And welcome to High Top Sports Network. My name is Joe Rhoades here on this postseason preview with West Shamokin Girls head coach Frank Nagy. Frank, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Always appreciate it.
Always appreciate you taking the time to join us, Frank. Certainly, we're sitting on the eve of a Heritage Conference semifinal playoff game. We talked just before we got in the air. The chances of you guys going to United at this point seem a little bit greater than you guys hosting a game tomorrow. It looks like the forecast is going to be you guys heading to United to play the Lions in what will be, 3 games against those guys in the span of probably less than 10 days, I think.
Yeah, 3 games in 6 days. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a high probability unless purchase line upsets Homer, going on right now in the fourth quarter. We'll be going to United, and that's what our preparation's been. Felt that Homer's a solid team, and not that purchase line can't beat them, but I expect Homer to pull that one out. And yeah, our preparation's been all about United. We've talked about our matchups. We've talked about our game plan. We've talked about we watched the film for Monday, the first second to the last second, to see where we need to improve, what we did well, what we need to get better at, and everything. And that's been our preparation. Obviously, if Homer gets upset tonight, that'll change. We'll host Homer, but again, I don't anticipate that happening, and we'll get another crack at United. And we told the girls whether it was going to be in the Heritage or it was going to be in District 6, we were going to get another crack at United, regardless if it was this week or next week. So, I think a lot of us are looking forward to it. The last couple of days of practice have not been in any way heads down. They understand what we need to do better. They understand that we were there. That was our game for the taking on Monday, and we didn't do enough to get it done. So it's just like after any game, win or lose, we're turning the page, and it's all eyes on United for tomorrow.
Coach, the phrase I think gets tossed around a lot when it comes to basketball, especially when you start talking about sections or conferences, that it's hard to beat a team 3 times in a year. Give me a quick synopsis or a quick sort of rundown of why it'll be hard for United to beat you guys 3 times in a season.
I think the reason that's said, at least the way I take it, is when you play a team for the 3rd time, there's not a whole lot of secrets. The personnel inside out. You know their strengths. You know their weaknesses. I like to think that at this time of the year, coaches have things in their back pockets, little wrinkles that they'll do off of plays that they've been holding on to put in for playoffs. Those sorts of things happen, I think, usually across the board. But knowing teams inside out, us and United, we do. They probably know similar matchups to what we're going to do, and I know most of the offenses and defenses they're going to run and things like that. So. I think we're improving here, and I think the reason that we have a good chance is that our girls, like I said earlier, they understand. They see on film where we had our openings and when we didn't capitalize, and why, defensively, the adjustments that we need to make to put ourselves in a better position. And then ultimately, we have to knock down some shots. The last 2 games against United were 2 of our poorest 3-point shooting games of the year. And, we know we have to knock down shots. I mean, you're going to have to knock down shots if you're going to beat any good team, any playoff caliber team that we're going to see this time of the year. But I think United knows, and just like I know, they know we're coming for a battle, and we know they're going to battle with us. It's going to be physical, just like it was Monday and Saturday. And, I know we're excited about having that 3rd option out.
Coach, you guys have an interesting mix, I think, this year. You have a nice mixture of veteran leadership. You talk about somebody like a Sophie Facero, an Abby Osterling, and girls of that caliber. And you're bringing along girls like Lily Jordan, to mention some of the underclassmen, Melissa Spahn as well. How do you feel like that is to your advantage, where you have that mixture of young talent that is very formidable, along with that senior leadership that's been there, done that? They've experienced a lot of the things that do come about this time of year.
Yeah, it's nice to have that. I flash back to 2 years ago when the core of our team right now were sophomores. They were sophomores starting, and we had the Cessnas above them. The Cessnas were juniors. So we didn't have an established leader who was leading the team, and they all were finding their way together going through the season. And in tough situations, they weren't sure who that person was to look to. The benefit of flash forward to this year is we have 5 seniors, three of which have started for 3 years. We know who we're looking to in big situations. But at the same time, those young girls, they're expected to produce. Lily's a freshman, Melissa is a sophomore. This is Melissa's first year in the program. So, coming in, now she's done a great job picking everything up, but coming into it is, she was behind Lily, because Lily was at least in the junior high program and knew the core of our thing. So it's important to have that senior leadership to show those young girls, how to prepare for games, how hard to work at practice, the attitudes to have, the positivity that we need to have around each other, understanding your roles, all of those sorts of things are so important that when you have just a pure young team, you kind of miss that. And now they grow into it. It's great. They kind of find their way better. But as a coach, it's nice to have that leadership in that core that we have, and especially at the guard spots. I mean, that's to me even more important to have leadership from veterans at the guard positions, even more so than the bigs, because the guards are handling the ball, especially the point guard, calling the plays, making sure everybody's good and sub. We switch on the subs and everything. That's very important to have the leadership at that position. So which is a reason that we're 15-3 at this point in time. So those seniors have come up big this year.
You just spoke of being 15-3, and coach, that kind of harkens to the fact that you are in a position that you've been in several times before already in your young coaching career, when you think about it. And I'd be remiss not to mention you're sitting at 99 wins in that young career. But yeah,
I didn't know you knew that.
You've got one heck of a assistant coach who made me privy of that information. With that being said, though, you've been in this situation several times before, looking at a Heritage Conference playoff. And with that being said, what makes this particular go around a little bit different than maybe those in years past? I mean, obviously, we could talk about COVID and the barriers that's created, but this particular go around in this tournament, with a chance to put the crown on your head as far as the Heritage Conference, what makes this one different?
Yeah, I mean, you nailed part of it right there. I mean, had you asked me back in November if we'd have a season, I would have said 65% chance yes. And when you're talking about having a season, you don't like no being a 35% chance. And again, that's just me. That's just me my percentages and stuff. But so the fact that we're even here, even I knew we were going to start the season. Then we started the season. We got shut down for 3 weeks. So just the rockiness of not knowing if we would get to this point in time, things that are out of our hands with people in the state making those decisions. So the fact that we have this opportunity is great. Our conference is so strong. And I mean, if you follow girls basketball, particularly AA, I mean, the strength of the conference. And, I don't take for granted, sure, we could have been anywhere from 1 to 4. Blairsville came on strong, so I don't take for granted at all that the fact that we are here in a semifinal with the opportunity. Last year, we were in a similar situation. We were the number 2 in the North, and we went over to United, and I think we lost by 4 or 5 down there last year. Same situation, semifinal. So that's something that I definitely remember. But this year, I think what's special about this year beyond the COVID situation is the group of seniors that we have that I'm doing it with. The first group I ever coached in girls basketball, I coached them when they were in 7th grade. And, it's one of those situations where that was my first exposure period to girls basketball. Sure, I watched some whenever I was in college and we had a good program up at Barron, but I didn't watch a ton in high school or anything like that. So, I mean, my first exposure to girls basketball was pretty much with these seniors when they were in 7th grade 6 years ago. So I just think the journey that I've been on with them is what makes it very special. And you mentioned the 99 wins, which I had forgot about for a while until Coach Parks asked me a couple days ago if that's where we were. And I couldn't remember if it was 16 or 18 that we needed. And it turns out, yeah, we are sitting at 99. And this would be a sweet one because it would not only get us to the championship, but it would give us a pretty good shot at the number 1 spot in District 6. If not the number 1, it definitely locks up the number 2. So, I mean, it would be a revenge game against United. So it would be quite a game to get 100. But that's not. I mean, that's not something that I'm focused on or anything. That kind of stuff take care of itself. And I think if you talk to the girls, I've told them a couple times this season, usually whenever I'm frustrated, but coaches don't win games. I'm a believer that players win the games. We try to put them in positions to succeed, and you're not going to win 100 games if you don't have strong players. So I don't focus too much on it, but it would be a sweet one to get it on Thursday for sure.
It takes a good coach to usher along those many teams over that span of time. So I'm gonna sit here and humble you because you can sit there and be modest, but it still takes a good coach to reach those levels to the point that you have so young in your career that we just mentioned. So talent's one thing, but being able to coach those young ladies up like you have is a different story. So credit to you there. And we'll wait for that 100th win. Certainly, it's like a no-hitter in baseball. I didn't want to have to bring it up, but I mean, it's there.
Hey, I'm not superstitious, so I'm not somebody that if you bring it up, it doesn't reduce the odds that it happens. And I mean, it's tough sledding. It's tough sledding to get it, regardless of who we play. United. Whether it was United home or Penns Manor, going to District 6 playoffs. I mean, it's no matter when it comes, it'll be a sweet one because it's going to be a very meaningful game.
Most certainly. Frank, you've been in this position before, preparing for a District 6 playoff. You've seen the heights of a state semifinalist team as you did in 2017. So what about this particular run of the playoffs and this preparation, getting ready for it, is different maybe than in the years past?
Well, the structure is a little bit different. With District 6 playoffs, for the PIAA playoffs, they're only taking district champions this year.
Right.
So really, you have to win your district to go. There's enough teams in District 6 usually that District 6 usually gets AA would usually get 4 teams in. AAA, I think we got 5 teams into states. So it created a lot more opportunities. While there was pressure on every single game, you could get to the semis and you knew you were in, and then you were just playing for positioning from there. You're playing for the title, but even if you lost in the semi, you were going to play for that 3-4 game. That's not the case this year. Once playoff starts on Tuesday, it's win or go home. Of all the playoff teams in the state, one team is going to end the season with a win. Everybody else is ending it with a lot. So it's one of those situations where you just can't take anything for granted, and I think the girls are starting to realize that whenever I gave them our February, March calendar with all the dates of the playoff dates, the state dates, everything there. And I think they looked down at it and thought, a state championship's like 3.5 weeks away, so, regardless of how things go, this team's done playing basketball in less than a month. They're never going to play another basketball game together. So I think it's just one of those things where it hits you that, we're coming down the stretch. But no, I think this is a great group. They continue to work hard. They continue to grow. And, I'm just excited to be going through it with them. And again, they're preparing for one game at a time. And that's really all you can ask for, at this point in time.
Coach, losses are never easy. You never want to experience them if it's up to you as a coach. But you guys had been on that perfect streak for a while, and you dropped that first game to Penns Manor and then dropped 2 to United to give you those 3 losses that you mentioned earlier in this conversation. In your opinion, and you obviously have a lot of playing experience as well, both at West Shamokin and you played in college as well. For you, knowing what the impact a loss can have, do you feel like you guys had it happen at the right time? And I'm obviously, again, you never want to experience them, but based on when they happen and how you guys have been playing throughout that stretch, are you still optimistic that you guys can accomplish the goals, which I'm sure you set forth on prior to the season?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a couple things there. Yeah, I don't lose any game, and I understand that, maybe for some people a loss might reset them and they might get overconfident or something, but I never felt an overconfidence from the team. And whenever I don't feel an overconfidence from the team, to me, a loss isn't necessary. Sometimes there are teams, more so when I coach the boys. When I coach the boys, you get some overconfidence, and sometimes a loss can maybe set them straight a little bit. I never felt anything like this with the girls, so I don't think a loss benefits us necessarily, or kind of gets our mind right. But what it does do is, again, it just helps us look at that film, and we're looking at film knowing that something bad is coming. We watched the United game. We watched ourselves play a very good first half. Meanwhile, we knew what was coming in the second half, and I think it helps you focus and things. But I always choose to win. You always want to win the games for sure. But I think this group just does a good job overall of keeping our focus and everything.
Frank, I think I kind of alluded to it earlier. As far as the coaching job you've had to do this year with COVID and several other factors, once COVID seemed to not be as much of an issue, we got some weather a week ago and there were some
Mhm.
cancellations. So for you, with all of that in mind and having to kind of reshuffle constantly, how much more difficult has the coaching job that you've had to do this year maybe be a little bit more difficult than in years past?
Yeah, it's different because
Would
I
you
mean
describe it as difficult? Would you say that it's been more difficult?
it's difficult because it's pulling me away from some of the things that I want to be focusing on. Tomorrow we get an allotment of tickets, for example. I have to figure out how I want to divvy up our allotment of tickets. That's never something that you never have to do as a coach. Hey, tickets are pre-sale. Hurry up and buy them before they're out. And everybody's on their own to get tickets. So there are certain things like that go on that, it pulls you away from, I want to coach basketball. I want to coach these girls. I want to coach basketball. I want to develop them as people and players. And there's certain things all year long, scheduling things, the mask situations, depending what school you go to, and what a rest going to do, and just things that you never would have imagined. Prior to practice, all the temperature checks, filling out the form after the game, wiping down all the basketballs, making sure they're put, just things that you never. Now, we should have wiped down balls in the past anyways. That's a
Well,
good practice
I
to
got to stop
continue
you though.
moving
High
forward.
Top Sports Network, I believe during one of our broadcasts, we did in fact zoom in on you during a boys' game, I believe, wiping down the girls' basketball. So if anybody's out there curious whether or not you're doing your due diligence, you most certainly are because it was caught on film. So if
Yes,
you
yeah,
ever
we.
need anybody to document it, you can come back and rewatch all of our streams, as you well know, on High Top Sports Network are there for rebroadcast. So if you're
Right.
curious whether or not Frank is doing his due diligence there, we have it documented.
I do, and I'm a rule follower. If that's what we have to do to play games in practice, I'll do it. So it's been more difficult, but it's been more difficult for that reason.
Sure.
It's just pulling me away from other things that you normally would be focusing on. So, um, but again, I'll jump through the hoops. We'll do whatever we have to do to stay safe and play the game that we love. And and then I realized I didn't fully address the last question with the goals and everything. When we set out for the season, our goals is heritage title, it's District 6 title, it's state title. And those are the overarching goals. Now, there's little benchmarks that we need to do to get to that point in time. You don't just leap and win the conference. You have to put yourself in a position throughout the season to win the conference. And I'm just happy, again, at this point in time, we put ourselves in a position where I'm sure we'd love to be hosting as the 1 seed. And yes, we've lost, 3 games in the last few weeks. But we could have lost. We could have lost to Penns Manor the first time and beat them the second time. So in no way do I feel that even the games that we're losing are, we're not losing to bad teams. We're losing to high caliber playoff teams. And that's, whether that happens at the beginning of the season, it happens at the end of the season, you just keep working. You just got to keep working. And we were able to get the wins early, which put us in this position where we could drop a couple on some off shooting nights and still get the 3 spot, and still be in position to get the 1 to the 3 seed in District 6. So, it's just looking totality of the season. It's been pretty solid so far, but we have to keep going and keep improving.
Coach Nagy, I'll leave you off on this one. You mentioned those goals, each of which need to be accomplished in a certain order. If you guys, in fact, are able to accomplish that Heritage Conference Championship, a District 6 championship, and then get a state berth and do what you guys can do in that respect, and I'm talking to you maybe in a month, maybe 5 weeks from now, whatever it'll be, whenever that span of time has elapsed, and you guys were successful in those goals, what will you have done to make that possible?
First off, that'd be amazing. But it's the consistent play. I'm a believer that defense will keep you in every game, and that's what I'm saying. We shot 30% against United from 2-point, and we shot 16% from behind the arc against United, and they shot 45% behind the arc, and they shot 40% from 2. We lost by 6. Because defense was in the game. So it's one of those situations where, if we're going to get to where we want to go, it starts on the defensive end. It starts with our defensive execution. You have to win on the boards. You have to force them into tough shots. But then offense is going to kind of get back on track to where it was a couple weeks ago, and not that I don't think we're playing bad offensively. We're getting good looks. We recently started getting back into the paint. We've gotten the things that we need to. We just need to capitalize on it. But the girls they're excited. They're there for each other. They're all in on it. I know they're going to be ready to go. We just have to capitalize on those opportunities. And it's going to be tough sledding every bit of the way. And I honestly, the teams that we see in the Heritage semifinal coming up are going to be just as good as the teams that we would see in the state playoffs if we got there. So it's one of those situations where I 100% know that we're battle tested. There's nothing anybody is going to throw at us that we haven't seen yet. We know we have the capability, but we have to play, our best basketball of the season for this last month if it's going to happen.
Well, Coach Nagy, I would assume by the point that our conversation just ended, we can assume that there's a winner or loser of that Homer Center purchase line game, and your opponent has already decided. We're not sure who. I mean, unless you have that in front of you right now, I sure as heck don't.
I don't. My phone's been going off, so I don't know if it's any. It could just be other people. It could just be other people messaging in one of my group messages or something like that. But I'm not sure who it is. Again, I assume it's Homer, and that's who we're playing on United. But maybe after we get off this call, I'll know for sure.
Well, whatever the case, whether it's United, as we presume, or someone else, best of luck tomorrow, Coach. We sure as heck hope we're in the building for it. It's been so much following you guys as it has been for past years. Certainly, as I mentioned in the conversation, a lot of winning seasons, a lot of experience at this point in the season that you've already garnered and have based on what is a young career. And certainly hope the next time you step out in the court, it's going to yield your 100th victory.
Yeah, thanks. And obviously, this whole COVID thing wouldn't be as smooth and everything if it wasn't for you guys. Being able to be at our games and being so dedicated to our community. For Armstrong County to have this is absolutely amazing. And for our families, again, they haven't been able to watch away games if it wasn't for things like that. And then home games with you guys, not everybody can even get can get tickets. We're still on a ticket restriction of, 3 tickets per player. And, all their families and friends can't even get to see them. So, if it wasn't for you guys, our fans wouldn't be able to keep up with it, and having the commentary and guys like you that know the community, that know the players, and can give that insight is awesome. And you digging into your roots at Marion Center and everything. I don't hold it against you, but that's obviously it's awesome. So always appreciate you and what the guys come out with.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. I had a chance to talk to West Shamokin Boys head coach Judd McCullough prior to this conversation, and I told him, hey, last time I came there with my Marion Center varsity jacket on, which was completely based on a dare, you guys won. So if you guys want me to wear it tomorrow, wherever I end up, whether it's covering you guys at United or wherever you are, hopefully you're home, or the boys who also will be playing in the Wolves Den, I can wear that jacket. I mean, if it's a omen of goodwill and has brought you guys success, I can certainly do that.
Man, I'm not superstitious. You don't have to wear it. I don't need to see. I don't need to see green and yellow.
I think at this point I look better in black and gray when I'm in the Wolves Den.
Yeah, you've come over to the good side. You've made your transition over. So
I would agree, and that's only based on you guys. So credit to people like you and the aforementioned Judd McCullough, Ray Blystone, your athletic director, and including your other coaches in your other sports, whether it's Melinda Osterling in volleyball, John McCullough in football. We're very grateful for all those individuals that make coming out to West Shamokin so much fun. And I'll just throw this out there right now. I get the nickname West Shamokin Joe when I was at the Leader Times. People call me West Shamokin Joe, because I was always apparently covering West Shamokin stuff. So, hey, whatever. I love all these schools in Armstrong County. It's been a real blessing to be able to witness these games, these teams, all these district championships in a short span in District 6 for you guys, for West Shamokin as a whole. Whether it's you guys doing it back when you did, volleyball teams, boys doing it twice, boys soccer doing it twice, boys volleyball doing it, girls volleyball doing it. It's been a real joy, and it's enhanced by people like yourself and those that I just mentioned.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it. And that's what, we've been blessed with a lot of success at our school, and it's an athletic culture that we have around here, and it's great. So, having you guys cover is awesome. Thanks.
Well, thank you, Frank. And I think that about wraps it up. Best of luck tomorrow, whoever that opponent is, whether you're on the road or you're at home. Like we said, we have sort of an idea, but whatever the case, best of luck, Frank. And we look forward to hopefully covering you in the championship game and the District 6 playoff thereafter. And as always, thank you for joining us.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it. Anytime. Always available for you. I'll see you.
Well, for Frank Nagy, my name is Joe Rhoades. Thank you for tuning in on this edition of High Top Sports Network. We will see you again.